Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
This was Donald Trump's message in 2015, a year before his electoral victory and ascendancy to the White House.
No choice.
The so-called Muslim ban was key to his success and a significant campaign promise. Upon winning the presidency, Donald Trump didn't waste time, and in January 2017, he took the first steps towards a travel ban.
Protection of the nation from foreign terrorist entry into the United States. That's big stuff.
He signed Executive Order 13769 in the Pentagon with Mike Pence and then Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis. It was formerly known as Protecting the Nation from Foreign Terrorist Entry into the United States. The order lowered the number of refugees to be admitted to the US to 50,000, and it suspended the entry of Syrian refugees indefinitely. It also essentially banned travel into the US from a number of Muslim-majority countries, including Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. The executive order was challenged and delayed in the courts by several US states and civil rights groups, and President Trump was ultimately forced to redefine his ban. In March 2017, frustrated with setbacks and less than 2 months after his first endeavour, the President signed Executive Order 13780. This too was formerly known as Protecting the Nation from Foreign Terrorist Entry into the United States, but it did contain some differences. The new order placed limitations on travel to the US by nationals of several Muslim-majority countries, and barred entry for all refugees who didn't have a visa or valid travel documents. Nations that came under scrutiny included Syria, Sudan, Iran, Libya, Yemen and Somalia, but Iraq was removed from the list. Later versions of the order added even more countries and further restrictions, impacting states such as Chad, North Korea, Venezuela, Nigeria, Tanzania, Myanmar and Kyrgyzstan. It sparked protests across the country, caused chaos at US airports and led to bitter division between Democrat and Republican politicians. It left families separated, including children from their parents, husbands from their wives and grandparents from their grandchildren. Despite several states vowing to oppose the order and challenging the Trump administration through litigation, it was upheld by the Supreme Court in 2018 and has been enforced since.
This is a real reminder of where we are, a moment in history where we either repeat bad chapters, terrible chapters of our nation's history, or we stand up and we say that the promise of America is open to every single human being, regardless of how they pray and how they worship and what hijab that they're wearing.
And then,
the people of this nation have spoken. They've delivered us a clear victory, a convincing victory, a victory for we the people.
Joe Biden is elected as the next president of the United States.
This is the time to heal in America.
The Democrat and lifelong face on Capitol Hill vows to restore the soul of America, and while much of his immediate attention is drawn to the coronavirus pandemic, Joe Biden makes his opposition to anti-Muslim rhetoric clear. On the first day of his presidency, he says he'll undo Trump's executive order, lifting the ban on travelers from the affected Muslim-majority nations.
We believe in freedom of religion. That's why we'll end the Muslim ban.
While lawsuits filed by conservative groups are expected to delay attempts to overturn the ban, rescinding the order should be easily done. This is because it was not authorized by the US Congress. Presidents can overturn previous presidents' executive orders with the power of the pen. It remains unclear, though, if Biden will go even further. The Obama-era Visa Waiver Program Improvement and Terrorist Travel Prevention Act, authorized by Congress and signed by the President in 2015, still complicates visa applications for citizens or those with ties to certain Muslim-majority countries. This would not change even if Trump's order is overturned, and would further require an act of Congress. Despite this, Joe Biden will be under pressure to quickly overturn the so-called Muslim ban, that is seen by supporters of President Trump as one of his biggest triumphs. Any holdup from the Biden administration would likely be met with contempt by his own party and base. President-elect Biden will be sworn into office on January 20th in Washington, D.C.